Hello and welcome to another Bodgit and Leggit video. Now I finally got a chance to do this. This is the third part of the parasitic drawer video. This is kind of the final one. This is one that well, to be honest, you can use this on any car, whether it be in new, old or whatever. It's one of the easiest in my opinion. You don't have to disconnect anything. And what I'm going to be using for it is the Hubitools auto tester. Yeah, look at that baby. So I will be doing a separate review on this, going through all its features, but I'm just going to be showing you the parasitic drawer using this fella. This is a 2008 Toyota Land Cruiser. On the newer vehicles, this is where you definitely need to do this test on it, because we have loads of modules on new vehicles. By unplugging the battery and doing the usual test, or pulling out fuses and stuff like that, the problem is you can wake up modules. So you can pull out a fuse and put it back in, and all of a sudden you can have 3 or 4 modules turn on, and it's just, a nightmare. You can't really do a proper drawer test. There's a few things we need to do first on a modern vehicle to make sure the car is in essentially sleep mode. Another thing you want to do is take the key and take it away from the vehicle. So don't leave the key in your pocket. Don't leave the key inside the vehicle or anything, because what can happen is, depending on the key, the computer could be recognizing the key and leaving a module on, and it could be throwing you away. So make sure your key is as far away as possible. Make sure it's nowhere near the car. What we also need to do is open the doors and latch the locks, because we might need to get in and out of the vehicle. And if I open the door, I'm going to turn dome lights on, I'm going to wake up dash clocks, I'm going to wake up everything, and then you have to wait ages for the modules to turn off. New vehicles can take up to 1-2 hours. It can even take longer to completely go to sleep. So that's what you want to do. So what I'm going to show you is essentially what we need to do with the doors. So what you want to do is open the door, get a screwdriver and lock the lock. Now be very careful, don't slam this back, because you can break the lock, you can do absolutely everything. I just like to kind of keep the door closed like that, just so you know. You can even put some tape over it or something to give you an idea that there's something, don't slam this closed. As you can see, well, you can't see, but I'll show you. We still have the interior lights on, as you can see, because this particular car, if we come down here, has the kind of the old-fashioned button. Oh, let's get you down a bit more. There we go. Has the old-fashioned button, so when the door opens, this opens, and that's what gives you your dome lights and stuff on. So if you have this type of button in your car, press it in, put some tape over it and keep it closed. The newer vehicles, you can do what I did with the door lock. So just make sure you know what type of vehicles you have. This button could be anywhere, it could be further down, but it is fairly obvious when you actually see it. So make sure that is pressed in, because otherwise your dome lights are going to be on and you're going to have a permanent drawer. So once you've done all that, we can then kind of get into testing the vehicle. And yes, I would suggest do that with every single one of your doors, your boot, your doors, however many doors you've got, even your bonnet. I'm just looking to see if we have a button on the bonnet of this one. We should do somewhere. Maybe not, I can't see one. But anyway, you'll see more or less the same button on the bonnet to tell you if the bonnet's lifted up. Again, make sure that button is pressed down, because you will have, a light or something on, and that will be draining your battery, and it'd be making your, well, it'd be leading you down the wrong path. So once you've done all that, or once you've done that, we're kind of ready to start testing this vehicle for a drawer. What we're going to do first is, because through this gadget, we can actually test the charging system, the voltage drop test of the battery and everything. We have, the dog food's here. Here's the dog food. I'm kidding. It's a new little pussy twat, look. Oh, smile. No, smile. Here. Hello. So what we're going to do now is we are going to test the actual battery and the charging system, because if you have a bad battery, you might have no parasitic drawer at all. If your battery's buggered, it's going to be going down. If your alternator's not charging properly, again, same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the crocodile clips on so we can take the probe ends off, and we'll put the crocodile clips on. This just gives us a nice connection to our battery. So I'm going to turn it on, and we're on volt, but as you can see, we've got volt DC, but we've also got a picture of a starter motor. So I just click across to that, press OK. I'm going to leave this somewhere where you can see it. So we'll put this on. All right, so I just wedged that here. Here you can see that, if it stays. We've got 12.4 volts, which the battery isn't fully charged, but we'll be okay for this test. So what this is going to do is when we start it, well, let's just start it and we'll see. Now, don't know if you can see that, but it's actually, oh, it's green. Oh, there we go. It's green. So we've gone down to 9.9 volts. The best thing about this is it's telling you it's okay because it's green. It can actually go to red, which means you have a problem. So again, you don't need to know what's good or bad voltage because the machine is actually telling you for you. How handy is that? Sorted. And I'll just give you an idea so you can actually see. Green means good. Yellow kind of means, look, you know, you want to get it kind of sorted. It's on the limit. And red means you need to change it. So the machine tells you if it's good or bad. You don't need to know any calculations or any what's good or what's bad. The machine will tell you. Right, so all that's told us at the minute is our battery is good. It hasn't told us about the charging system. So we're going to do the charging system now. So what we're going to do is go back out of this, just go to volts DC. As you can see, it's actually showing us the battery isn't fully charged. It's kind of amber yellow to say, look, you know, the battery isn't fully charged. It's telling us again, which is fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'll wedge this here again. I'm going to turn on the car and I'm going to turn all the loads on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the lights, I'm going to turn on the fans, I'm going to turn everything on I can to see what this is like. But before I do that, I just want to turn the car on and I want to see what voltage it says. I just realized I showed you the wrong one. This is the starting procedure. Same thing, red when it's no good, green when it's good, that's 24 volts, and amber when you just kind of know you need to maybe get it looking at. So there you go. Right, that's fine. Our battery is slightly, well, it is being charged, but it's fine, we're okay. I'm now going to turn on the loads, and we don't want this to go red. If it goes red, we know we have a problem with the charging system. If it goes red, you know you have to sort the charging system out first before you can worry about any draws. Now, that's all the draws on. You could just see it kind of flicking to green. So that's my lights on, full beam. That's my heater on, everything on, and we're still okay. If it was red, we know we're not charging properly. That's when you need to find out, is it your alternator, is it the wires, whatever the case may be, you have to sort that out first. But like I said, the machine tells you, and that voltage is absolutely fine. So now we know that's okay, we'll actually get to the actual over the fuses. Right, this next bit is really important. This is why we've now got all the doors locked. If we've got the little buttons, we've put tape over the buttons to make sure the car thinks the doors are actually locked, even though they're not. Because you're not just going to have fuse boxes in the engine bay, you're going to have fuse boxes in the car as well. So if you don't do what I said first and open the door, you're going to turn all the modules on, you're going to have to wait again before you can test the fuses, because if you don't do that, you're going to get some power coming on them fuses and it's going to be leading you in the wrong direction. The new modern cars, if you start just pulling fuses for the hell of it, you can lose module codes. You can it's a nightmare. You don't want to be doing it. It's a nightmare. You might end up having to go back to the main dealer to get computers reprogrammed and stuff. So it's vitally important you do this. Have the car asleep, wait a couple of hours, make sure all your doors are locked in the sense of, like I said, we've pushed the lock back. If we've got the little button, take the button, make sure the button isn't pressed up. Once you've done that, we can then go into the fuse box. I'm only going to show you the fuse box and the engine bay just because it's easier to film rather than trying to film the engine boxes underneath the dash or anything like that. With this being a Toyota, we actually get the fuse diagram inside and we get what each fuse does. So what we need to do is, let's imagine every couple of days your battery is dying. You know, you come to start the car because you don't use it every day and it doesn't start. You've checked the actual charging system and the battery. We know that's good. That is important. You have to do that first. So we've checked that. We know that's good. So we know there's something on the car that's either been left on or something is running. Something's happening and draining our battery. So what we do, we turn our old machine on and we go to the amp setting. And you can see we've got two options. We've got amp and we've got amp draw. I'm going to go to the amp draw and I'm going to select 0 to 999 millivolts and press OK. Right, so we're on the right setting. Again, I will go through everything else in another video. I just want to show you draws on this particular video. So what we do now is, and this, the beauty with something like this is it's so fast. I can check all these fuses in a matter of seconds. I really can. A couple of minutes and I'll have all the fuses checked. It really is that simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to wedge this somewhere again so you can see. Let me get the camera in a better position. Right, hopefully you can see this fuse box okay. What I like to do first is just do a quick continuity test. So I've turned the machine onto continuity. And what that does is, when you touch them together, it beeps and you get a little blue light coming on the top. And what I like to do quickly is just test all the fuses. So I'm just going to put these on both ends of the fuses just to make sure they all light up and beep. Go through all the fuses just to make sure your fuses are okay. If one of them's gone with a modern car, I'm not saying it does, but it could do something freaky, so just best to replace it. If it keeps blowing, you're going to have to sort the problem out. Don't just keep putting fuses into it. So go through them all. Do that first. Once you've done that and you know all your fuses are okay, then kind of do the next test. So what I'm going to do is just turn it off for a second. Take out my leads, because I know I can do the amp draw. We get these two fellas, a yellow and a blue one. As you can see, one says 30 amp on it, which is the blue one, and the yellow one says 1 amp. Now, what I need to do is the one with the fuse side, put it to the power side or the red side of the meter, put it in, turn the meter to volts, turn it on, put my red lead on the fuse side and my back lead on the other side. Sorry, I need to go to amp, sorry. Then, hopefully you can see that. Go to amp draw. And I've selected the 1 amp, so I'm going from 0 to 999 millivolts. Select. Right, we're good to go. So what I'm going to do, again, this is what you'd have to do. But again, the best thing about this machine is it will tell you. If it goes red, it's a problem, it's too much of a draw. If it goes green, you're okay. Traffic light system, can't really go wrong. So, one thing I just need to show you first is what I'm doing is the two little pins, you just see the fuse there, then two little kind of pins that are shining. I'm just putting my probes across them two pins. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to touch, and this is where it's very, very quick. I'm just going to touch the two little metal things sticking out the fuse with my probe. Touch them, and I'm just waiting. See, that says 0. You can do this really, really quickly. 0, 0, and 0. Go through all your fuses. Now, what I've done is I've left the lights on this purposely to get a draw. So let's say you did have a draw, this is what will happen. So I'm coming across this fuse here now. And as you can see, it's gone straight away to red. So that's 101 milliamps. Come across to the second fuse. And again, straight to red again. So it's telling me it's red straight away. It's saying that that is too much of a draw. We have a problem. This is where it becomes hard. This is now where you're going to have to figure out exactly what. So you get your owner's manual, you get your fuse box lid, you find out what is controlling that fuse. Don't pull it out. You find out what that fuse is controlling. And then you take your diagnosis from there. So if you quickly watch this before it goes to red, it'll actually go to green. So it goes to green and then it goes to red. If it stayed green, we're okay, no problem. If it goes to red, you know you have a problem on that circuit. That's where the fun begins. That's where it's difficult to do it. But at least you get an idea of, you know, kind of where your draw is. Don't pull out your fuse. Look at your book, you know, look at wiring diagrams, or however you want to look at it, and then kind of go from there. Also be aware of, if you've got multiple wires that are kind of broke and they're touching each other, you'll have multiple fuses, you can have weird sort of problems. But at least this gives you an idea of exactly where to go. And what you can do is, if you want to find out the exact draw in it, we can just go back out here. We'll go to amps rather than amp draw. We'll go, because these are our mini fuses, so we'll go to the mini fuse. It is a 10 amp fuse, and we can scroll down, hopefully you can see this. Scroll down to 10 amps, press select. I can actually put my machine on it then. Oh, get this one. It's beat, so it'll now tell me that is 3.1 amps, which is a huge draw. We go to this other fuse, which is controlling the other headlight. And there we go, 3 amps, which is massive. It's a massive, massive draw. Now, the chances are you won't have that high of a draw. Go out and go back to select our 1 amp. Hopefully you saw that. If you didn't, let me just get that a bit closer so you can see. So we'll just go back out. We'll turn it, so we'll turn it to amps. You get these two menus. We've just gone into amps there, but we're going to go back to draw, to amp draw. Press the arrow, press enter. We have 0 to 900 or 999 millivolts, which is the 1 amp scale. So we've got the 1 amp in there. If you're doing things like heater plugs, or if you're doing things like fans, you would put the blue one in and you would go down to 1 to 30. But we're on this one. Press enter. Now we're ready to go again. So what I suggest you do is, you go through all your fuses. If you find any with a red draw, so the machine goes red, write that down on a piece of paper, go through all your fuses, then turn it to the actual amps and see what amps you're actually pulling, which is, as you can see there, was major. Then you can take your diagnosis from there. Then you can look at your, you know, if you've got Toyotas, it's written out. If you've got, you know, an owner's manual and stuff like that. But be very careful, because there is certain vehicles out there with hidden fuse boxes. Now, the only one that comes to mind is a Ford Transit. The Ford Transit has well, I say a hidden fuse box, they call it a hidden fuse box. Underneath the dash, there's a main fuse box, and behind that is another fuse box. So if you test all these and you think, well, I've no draw, the chances are you've missed a fuse box somewhere. Modern cars can have multiple fuse boxes, so make sure you actually test all your fuses. There is a chance you've missed one, or you've missed a complete fuse box. Some of them are a nightmare to find. The ones in the engine bay are easy. The ones underneath the dash can be a nightmare. That's why you need to do the door locks. So when you open the door, you know, you're not turning on all the modules, you can test your fuses kind of straight away. So be aware of that too, that is important. But with this gadget, it tells you everything. You don't have to know what is what, because it goes to red. It tells you that there is a problem there. If it was on green, that's an okay draw. Depending on your car, you might have a clock that, you know, a clock that always tells the time. There's going to be a slight little draw on that. If you've wired something into the car, remote start or something like that, there might be a draw off that as well. So bear that in mind. But for a vehicle that is standard, you know, this shouldn't be going into red. If you're going into red, you know you've got a problem. That's where the fun begins. You're going to have a nightmare finding it, but at least this gadget will tell you where it is, what circuit, very, very quickly. I can go through that fuse box in a matter of, you know, a minute, and you can do all the fuse boxes in the car in a couple of minutes. It really is very, very simple. And that's it. There's nothing to it. Very, very simple. You know, what more to say? Sorted. Right, I noticed in editing you couldn't, it looked like the screen was kind of going amber, not red. I think it's just the angle I had it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get it for you so you can actually see it does go red. Oh, the cat's decided to join us. Hello. I think we'll call him Castrol, or 530. fully synthetic, semi-synthetic. He's the wrong colour. But anyway, right, so what I'm going to do is I've turned the lights on and I'm going to try and just put this on here and show it actually straight up to camera. Now, hopefully, I don't know if it's the, because again, it looks wrong on the camera. It is red, okay? It is red. Hopefully that's showing up better now. There we go. So that's what I like about this. It tells you whether it's bad. You're not having to guess, you're not having to know what's good or bad. It tells you what is good or bad. The hardest part is trying to fix your vehicle after that, but at least this gives you a really good, quick idea. It tests your charging system, it tests the drops, it does everything for you. It really is, it's a handy piece of kit. But don't forget to make sure your car is in sleep mode, because if it isn't in sleep mode, you're going to be chasing your tail and you're going to be getting absolutely nowhere. So make sure it's in sleep mode, and the easiest way to do it is lock the doors how I've showed you, leave the car for a couple of hours, make sure your key is a mile away from the car, because keys can wake up modules when you come close to the car can detect you've got a key. If you've got keyless entry or anything like that, you know, it will spring open and you'll have all modules turning on, you'll have absolutely everything. So make sure your key is not in your pocket, it is as far away as you can possibly get it, because otherwise you're just going to be chasing your tail. So this is the way I kind of do it, because it's just easy. You can do this on all cars. You don't need a modern car. You can do it on all cars. I've just done the video series just for example, if you've only got, say, old classic cars and you've got a test lead, well, then that's all you need. So that's why I've showed you that system. But with this, if you haven't got a multimeter or anything like that, with something like this, this will do everything for you. And it's great, it's a handy piece of kit. So we'll go into its other functions in another video, but at least this now shows you how to do a parasitic draw on a modern vehicle. It really is as simple as that. You can do it really, really quickly. The hardest part of some of the vehicles is knowing exactly where all your fuses are. For example, on some of the new Ford Transits, they have like a hidden fuse box behind the fuse box underneath where the passenger's footwell is, and you can miss them quite easy. So the hardest thing is trying to find out exactly where your fuse boxes are in some of these modern cars, because they're a nightmare. The one in the engine bay is simple, obvious. It might not be simple. You could test all your fuses and you could, well, I'm not getting any draw, but the battery's still going down. I don't know other vehicles that do it. I just know off the top of my head, the Ford Transits, they have like a hidden fuse box. So be aware of that. Do your research first. Check to see where your fuse boxes are. Check to see, you know, all that sort of stuff, because if you don't, you're just going to, again, you're going to be chasing your tail. Make sure the little buttons are pressed. Make sure the tape hasn't come off or anything like that, because them buttons, you know, they do take a good bit of pressing. Because if they don't, the dome lights will be on. You know, the clock cluster will be on, and you know, loads of things like that will be on, and that will make in massive draws. So yeah, that's it. It really is as simple as that. It's very simple. It means you don't have to pull any fuses out. You're not going to be losing memory code. You're not going to be losing anything like that. I've just turned this back on. So you're not going to be losing anything like that. You're going to then be able to find out where your draw is. But like I said in all the videos, that's the hardest part. The easiest part is trying to figure out what circuit it is. If you've got your owner's handbook, when you figure out it's fuse number 30, you can see what that fuse controls, and it could say, you know, it could say one thing, it could have 5 or 6 different things. The more things it controls, the harder it is. Another thing you have to be careful of, if you've got a couple of broken wires and they're touching each other, well then that could be controlling another fuse and controlling another module. So, you know, finding the problem can be a nightmare, so just bear that in mind. Physically trying to find out which fuse is got your draw on, easy peasy. So yeah, that's it. I'll leave a link in the bottom of the video where you can actually contact these Hubitools, and you can see where your nearest dealer is. You can contact them and ask them where your nearest dealer is. But that's it, you know, that really is it. That's the 3rd video in the series. And Sorted, sorted. So look, hope it helps. Thumbs up, subscribe, the usual. Links up here, links down below. But most importantly, don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next one. I'm going to feed the dogs now.